Very good morning and Johar to all. I wish you all a very happy and prosperous International Day of the World's Indigenous Peoples. As we know that 9th August commemorates the International Day of the World's Indigenous Peoples. It is celebrated around the world and marks the date of the inaugural sessions of Working Group on Indigenous Peoples at the United Nations in 1982. There is much to celebrate, including solid human rights standards on which to build inclusive societies in partnership with indigenous peoples. The imprint of the United Nations declarations on the rights of indigenous peoples and the ILO Indigenous and Tribal Peoples Conventions 169 can today be found across the world and throughout the globe on many national laws, policies, and institutions. It is clear evidence that moving indigenous people's sides from theory to practice is possible and beneficial. But at the same time, there is also much to make us pause for reflection. Indigenous peoples are disproportionately affected by poverty, and they face systematic discriminations and exclusion from political and economic decision making. As you all know, that this year the world community is facing a pandemic COVID-19. That is why the theme of this year's International Day of the world's indigenous peoples is COVID-19 and indigenous peoples' resilience. As we know that the tribal people, they have their own traditions, they have their own culture, and the majority fights which is going on in throughout the world that is related to the self determination, and the second things which is very important to know about that to preserve, to protect their identity, their religion, their culture, and most of the things that is the survival which is purely based on their land. And I'm coming to the Indian conditions. If you'll see what is the positions of a tribal people, it is not different from the world community. It is very similar to the world community. At the same time, that after independence, there are so many the attempt has been made by the Indian government, and particularly if we'll see that each always I'm saying that India is the we are enough fortunate that when the Universal Declaration of Human Rights came into existence, at that time we were on the what you can say the making our constitution or drafting our constitutions at the time. So most of the things, the human rights, particularly human rights which we are talking, that has been incorporated in our constitutions, either in the part 3, that is fundamental rights, or in the part 4, the directive principle of state policy. If we'll see in that way, then that means the in our government or the India, that many steps has been taken, the protections has been made through the constitutional provisions. I'm not going to deal about all the provisions because it requires much more time. But apart from that, there are some of the provisions which are very important, which we will have to see that what kind of rights have been protected. If you'll see that there are some rights which have been given under this, that it begins that the tribes, scheduled tribes, have been defined under the Indian constitutions, and that makes the difference from the others. And from that point of view, that there are certain very important articles which have been given under the constitution, that is if we'll see that the article 15, article 16, article 19, article 46, these are the very important rights. At the same time, if we'll see the article 23, article 24, and article 25, and so on. Apart from that, as we know that the two articles which are very important, but that is not available to only the citizens. It is available to the each and every citizens of this country. That is article 32. That if your fundamental rights are violated, then you have a right to go before the Supreme Court. And the article 226, if your rights are violated, then you can go before the High Court. So apart from that, there are so many other provisions which are made under the constitutions for the promotion and protections, or to bring the mainstream of the scheduled tribes peoples. If we'll see these provisions, then there are the certain provisions have been made, that is the political safeguards. If we'll see the article 330, which is talking about the reservations of seats for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, and if we'll see article 332, it is talking about the reservations for the seats of scheduled castes and scheduled tribes in the assemblies of the states. Article 334 is also talking about the reservation of seats in a special representations in the cases, and Article 243D, which is talking about the reservation seats in panchayats, and the Article 243T is also talking about the reservations of seat. Apart from that, there are some of the agencies which are given under this constitution, that is under Article 338A, which is talking about the National Commission for the Scheduled Tribes. These are the very important articles which help to promote the tribals, their lives, their rights. They are trying to protect it under this act. Apart from that, if you'll see, then you'll find there are some of the legislations, enactment which you'll have, which is talking about the protections of the interest of under the constitutions, which is talking about the fifth schedules and the sixth schedules. Then we have the very specific laws, that is the Pesha, which we are talking about, the Pesha, that is the Panchayat extension to scheduled areas Act 1996. As I've told you, the protections have been granted particularly to preserve their the land rights, preserve their forest rights. They they give the ownership rights to over the land. This has been protected. This has been given, and the very specifically, if you'll see, then the Forest Rights Act has been enacted in the name in the year 2006, and there, if any kind of the discriminations is made, then there is a specific acts. If someone is exploiting, or you can say that behaving in the different way, or derecognizing, discriminating, then specifically the Atrocities Act we have, and that is the Scheduled Castes and Scheduled Tribes Prevention of Atrocities Act 1989. Apart from that, there are so many the state legislations, each and every state legislations which will have which protects the interests of the tribal people. That is, if you'll see, if you take the example of the Jharkhand, then you'll find that the Chota Nagpur Tenancy Act 1908 is there, the Santhal Pargana Tenancy Act 1949 is there. So what I'm trying to make you clear, that we have, I'm not saying that the government has not taken the steps. The government has made so many laws. There are so many constitutional provisions, as I've told you, that all the declarations which have been made, and the declarations which have been made through specifically the United Nations the human rights perspective, you'll see, then you'll find that there is a very what you can say, the importance has been given. Now the question is that where it is lacking. My understanding, it is my observations, that where is the 2-3 things which I like to say with you. The first thing is that as far as the lawyer scholar we have find that is the non-implementations of the provisions, either in the constitutionals, or either it is made in the form of any institutionalization, or if you can say if it is made through any enactment. That's the very important. This the non-implementation we have found. The implementation part is given, that is the executive part, and the executive means the state governments. It has to play the very vital role to implement in the proper way. But we find that none of any of the legislations is found that it is remain in the books, and it is not implemented. It is not in, we will not find in the practice. That is the first thing. The second thing which I would like to say, that the people are also not aware about their rights. What kind of the rights we have, we don't know. Our people don't know that what kind of the rights which I have. So it's the duty of us that will have to create awareness among it. And if the people will know that they have all the rights, and these rights are not only protected in the nationally, these rights are protected internationally, and there is the international instruments which will have, and the rights are protected under the international instruments. So we are not begging all the things. These rights are given. These rights we have got it, and if these rights will not be exercised, then how the objective of this particular act will come, or you can say in the real sense it will not be implemented. And the third thing, what as far as my understanding is that what is the lacking behind it, that is the non-cooperations of the states, the implementing agencies. There is very gap between these the stakeholders, you can say, their states, and the beneficiaries like this, the citizens of the people. The third things is which we are talking about, that even these laws which we have, but if we'll see in the practical, as I've told you, as I have already said, that these are not implemented. And what happened due to the non implementations, that the tribals are losing their land rights. The most of the industries, they are established in their own land, in their farming land, and gradually they are displaced in the name of the development of this country. And there is no any kind of the respect of their culture, the religions. And I'm very sorry to mention here that that India is not India. You can say it's a secular country, and in the secular country, each and every religion has the equal status. But you will see what is going on in a country, that the Prime Minister is going to inaugurate the Ram Temple. It's all right, but have you seen that even in the after independence, that in any place where the tribal peoples which will have they are associated, mainly they are associated with the nature, and that is their worship places, that is the Jahar Gard, what we are saying, the Jahar Gard. So have you heard that any of the Jahar Gard which is be inaugurated by any of the prime minister of our country? And the most important thing is that being that the each and every citizens have to choose their religion, and the state has no its own religion, and a secular democratic process. So in that way, if any persons, if they are believing in a particular path, what we are calling the tribal people, they are calling that our religion is Sharna. But it is very unfortunate that even today that the Sarna is not recognized in our country. Even in the very minority group which you have, I'm not going to take the name of those religions, but these are given the space, they given the place in our country, but these tribal peoples are always neglected. And it's a very sorry to say that even today that the Sarna religion is not recognized. And as for other rights, as I've told you, that we have a Forest Rights Act, we have the constitutional provisions under the Pesha, under the fifth schedule, under the sixth schedule. But if you'll see that what is going on, the tribal people, they are losing their land rights, which is the main source of their livelihood. They are they don't have the rights in the forest over. It is only in the book that there is a forest rights, the dwellers rights have been given, they can use, they have a right to access. And under the Pesha, that the provisions has been made, there is a very strong provisions has been made that the Gram Sabha has a very wide power, that without their acceptance, you can say, that no land can be acquired. But it's again, as I'm telling you, that's the books. Now it is my humble request to all the indigenous peoples and the tribal peoples of this country, that you'll have to again unite it together, and we'll have to think about that, why the rights which are protected under either in the Indian constitutions or under the various laws of this country or through the international law or international instruments, the whatever the protections has been given, that right has to be acquired. You can say that we have to take the rights. That rights has to be reached to the tribal people so that they can enjoy all the human rights which have been protected under the nationally or internationally level. And but as far as the practice, if you see that still you can say that we are behind. We are not in a position to get all those rights which are protected in the book, you can say. So now we'll have to realize that what we'll have to do, that we'll have to raise the voice as it's the right time, the today the right time that we'll have to raise that Jal Jungle Jamin, and we want our own rights. We have rights over it, and we have our own religion, we have our own culture, we have our own legal systems, we have a very good legal setup. We are regulating our behavior by the societies itself, so that it must be implemented in the proper way. It must be recognized by the concerned governments. And when we will be able to get all these things, then only we can say that we are celebrating in the real sense the International Day of World's Indigenous Peoples. Once again, at the end, it's my humble request that we'll have to unite again. We'll have to raise voice for to achieve all the things. And finally, again, I wish you all the best, and you have patiently heard me. For that, I am very much thankful to all of you. Thank you very much. Once again, I wish you very happy and prosperous International Day of World's Indigenous Peoples. Thank you very much.